So recently, Clipping has released a new album called Visions of Bodies Being Burned. There was an Addiction to Blood. It was really the first record I got to hear out of Clipping, and I didn't know anything about Clipping until last year, until I heard their album. And I really liked the album, you know, they came up with last year. I think it was very cool. You know, the more I get to listen to it, the more I get to enjoy even more and just understand it more. Because, you know, I like the concept of, you know, each track having its own separate sort of fun horror story, and I really liked the production in there. It was very interesting, very creative, I guess you could say. When I saw the cover art for Visions of Bodies Being Burned, I was very interested because, you know, it looked a lot like There Was an Addiction to Blood, and then I realized this is supposed to be a sequel to There Was an Addiction to Blood, so that got me even more hyped, you know, for this album. And I gotta say, Visions of Bodies Being Burned actually lives up to the hype that I was expecting, you know. For a sequel, this is actually a very, very enjoyable album, you know, far more than what I would have expected, you know, because really making something better than There Is an Addiction to Blood, you know, it's really tough and it's really hard, and it gives you in a pretty tough spot, you know, to top something. And Visions of Bodies Being Burned, I guess you could say, just really goes even deeper in the terrain that, you know, There Was an Addiction for Blood left. And I like it, you know, it's a very interesting idea and concept of what they're doing here. Now, really, the whole style of Visions of Bodies Being Burned is very much like its predecessor. You know, it has the same vibe, I guess you could say, the same weird percussion, the same creative, freaky-ish aesthetic or eerie, you know, instrumentals that There Is an Addiction for Blood had. While I will say the features in this record isn't necessarily as great as There Is an Addiction to Blood have, it's still pretty decent. I really liked Camancina's verse in 96 Neve Campbell. I like the sort of serial killer type of sinister stuff that they're going to in that track, and I just really like it. You know, the bars, the flow, just the energy is all there, and that's what I love about the features, you know, when Clipping is collabing with people. And I think Camancina, as I was saying, were just perfect features for that song. It's a very, you know, it has this very catchy hook, these ear-grabbing lyrics, these threatening, sinister lyrics. Say the Name was a very cool track. I like the little cool bass line that it lays down. It sounds like it's a beginning of a club banger, and that's something familiar that they did with There Was an Addiction to Blood. They had this song that I forgot the title of, but it had a very, I guess, very danceable, you know, sort of bass line there, or 808. That they did there. It sounds very clubby, sort of dance vibe, and I like that they match it with the sinister, over-the-top violent lyrics. In the track Say the Name, it's literally about this girl who gets pregnant, and she apparently has a demon baby. Those are the lyrics. But yeah, just a lot of these Clipping tracks are just so creepy, and I like how they have these little twists, you know, and just leaves you in shock, and they tell you like the story just beginning to end. It's just frightening, and you know that something is about to go down. And I like how scary and just disturbing these stories can get. You know, I love the hook from that song, Say the Name. I really liked it. Something Underneath is easily one of my favorite tracks in this album. The reason why I love it so much is that it just everything about this song is really perfect. You know, the suspense that builds up from the beginning to the end, with the super fast drums, the super fast rapping, the lyrics describing something coming from underneath, obviously implying a zombie apocalypse. I like how it sounds that like the person is like without a breath, you know, just rapping super fast, and I love that, you know. As I was saying, it builds suspense. It gives you this impression that like something from underneath is gonna come soon, and it's just gonna be super bad, you know, like this sort of apocalypse type of vibe. And that's what I really like about Clipping as well, you know, the rapping involved in here, just the energy that they put in here just builds up the suspense, and they transfer the energy that they want you to experience when they're listening to each of their tracks, you know, since each of their tracks are like different, you know, scary stories. Looking Like Meat is easily one of my favorite tracks in this album as well. I gotta say, I love the distorted bass line that this song has. It feels so, the beat feels so aggressive, so rich. You know, it just feels like a punch in your face. Like just something terrifying is about to happen. And the lyrics easily just easily describes it, since it's such a cannibalist type of track. I know just say cannibalist type of track, but the lyrics just, as I was saying, easily reflect on it. You know, looking like me. It's like these people are just looking at you and like, you look like me. Like they're freaking cannibalists and about to eat you. And like as I was saying, I like the bass, I like the beat. It feels super aggressive. It feels like these people are about to, you know, cut you up and eat you alive. You know, I know that I sound like a maniac or something. Check the Lock really gives you this sort of feeling of paranoia, of insecurity, you know, feeling that, you know, you're hunted, feeling that you're being watched. And the song narrates about this person who is, I guess you could say, a gangster. He's very wealthy and stuff. You know, he feels that something unusual is happening. He feels that he's being stared at, and that he sort of fears for his life, even though he's known to be as a fearless person. Body for the Pile is easily one of the most disturbing tracks in here. I mean, not only because of the title literally says Body for the Pile, just the lyrics and the suspense of this song is just very crazy, as the lyrics literally describe bodies in a pile. And I like how in detail they go to as they describe the bodies. You know, they're missing limbs, stitched eyes, you know, just injuries in these bodies, and just implying that they're probably going to be the next body to the pile, and you should say your last words probably right now. You know, I like how it gives you the sense of you're being hunted. You know, it gives you the sense that you're just gonna die soon. And I like it, you know, because how it communicates that sort of feeling. She Bad has a really fun story, giving you the story about a creature, you know, that's like sort of human, but at the same time not with these like weird things in her face, you know, a tongue that looks like a shape of a fork, these snake eyes, you know, this weird vibe. And I like how the story, you know, how it progresses, just gives you more on the edge of your seat. You know, like her origins and how she's lurking in the forest, and the sound effects they use. You know, when they're narrating about the person, about the character, or the scenario, to give you know the scenery of, you know, what this character is doing to the people, and, you know, I guess the origins just teleport you there. Make Them Dead is a very interesting track. I like how they use this weird static, you know, sound effect that's playing in the background. This bass that just drops very hard. I also like the choir that sings in the background, the Make Them Dead, and this very spooky sort of mysterious feeling that they lay off in there. And the lyrics, you know, talking about, you know, getting revenge, something similar to what Pain Every Day had. I like how Pain Every Day has a very aggressive sort of sound to it. There's aggressive flow, aggressive lyrics. I also really like the little crazy drum pattern that this track has. It borrows sounds. It borrows like these. It literally borrows from different drum patterns to make its own, and it's very fast, very rapid, very experimental. You know, a lot of these tracks in the album are very experimental. As I was saying, with the percussion, it gives you it gives you this vibe, that it gives you this feeling of being scared, you know, or just something is about to happen. Enlacing is a pretty different track. It doesn't really feel that horror oriented. I'm mostly a fan of the production in this track mostly than the lyrics, but I will say the chorus is pretty nice and catchy. But I love the production, as I was saying. I like how, you know, the just sort of beat switch that this track has, from such like a lively sample to a very dark pitched down sort of sample. And I will say the only issue I really have with this album is kind of the same issue I had with There Is an Addiction for Blood. It's just the interludes. I feel they don't serve that much of a purpose or anything, mostly in here. Just the interludes feel like just randomly placed, I guess you could say, and sort of serve nothing. It doesn't really serve that much of a purpose throughout this album, and I find myself skipping these interludes more. You know, my second and third time hearing, I felt like these interludes just felt kind of pointless. Visions of Bodies Being Burned, I guess you could say, is a pretty well put successor to There's an Addiction to Blood. You know, it has a lot of what, you know, the predecessor made very good. These fun, entertaining horror stories. You know, the stories that, I guess you could say, give you the feeling of a slasher, of a slasher film. Each story or each track, as I was saying, is its own story, you know, and it gives you the impression of like a movie. You know, it's very cinematic, well put together. The percussions, the sound effects give you like these very weird, scary sort of vibes, or it just transfers this feeling, you know, this urge that something is about to happen in here, that something suspenseful is about to happen and it's about to scare you, or just give you like this sort of insecure vibe. And that's what I love about this record and what I love about There's an Addiction to Blood. It communicates that perfectly. So after all that being said, what do I give Visions of Bodies Being Burned? I would give this album a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's a very good album. It lives up to the hype. It really lives up to its predecessor. This album had a lot of very interesting. Visions of Bodies Being Burned, I guess you could say, is the essential album for this month. You know, Spooktober, it's supposed to be spooky, it's supposed to be scary, it's supposed to be horror because of Halloween and stuff like that, and this album is perfect for it. The tracks in here are suspenseful, they are fun to listen to, they're very entertaining, they are clean, they're well put together, and I gotta say they are one hell of a ride. The whole album is one hell of a ride. It's very fun, as I was saying, very entertaining, very unique, and, you know, and very special. So what did you guys think about this album? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, turn the notification bell on so you don't miss an upload from me. And yeah, see you guys next time and have a great Halloween.